got any final thoughts for the show?
Make jukes, not war.
Can we edit that out?
Nope. I had my game face on.
I think we can.
Hello and welcome to something very different than usual. You will notice the car park currently has a piece of slate on it, a rather beaten up Honda S2000 with the TN livery I received from JDC quite a while ago. So big shout out to Jay's Diecast Creations, and well, a Sunny Life, which I'll be careful handling. So we're going to customise this thing without drilling it open. We've got a bunch of paint off to this side of the screen, a knife and a few other bits. You can already guess what I'm doing is, well, I'm going to be taking it and making it look abandoned, as this slate is perfect for looking like abused and used tarmac. Snap a wheel off, maybe put it aside and just sort of cover it in a bunch of rubbish and hopefully make something that looks somewhat decent by the end. So, hope you all enjoy this transformation of this Civic, this Honda. So just to reassure that I'm not sort of beating up something that is really nice, which I wouldn't. This thing it's got rusty axles, the livery is beaten up. I do like it. I would like one that's sort of nice, which I've got to find eventually at a shop. Hopefully I can get to one down south. The wing is all levels are beaten up, the paint is destroyed, and of course you can see rusted out axles under there as well. So I'm going to take this thing and make it look abandoned. So first thing first is to, well, take this already beaten up window, of course, as you can see here, and scratch it up a little bit. So please, if you're trying this at home, be careful. Be careful with sharp knives, they can really hurt. So I'm going to keep my fingers well away from the edge of the blade when cutting. Of course you can see, move them back, so if it slips, hopefully it's not going to hit. So I'm just going to do a sort of line across and then some spirals to make it look like someone has really shattered the window and a point around about there. So mark off a spot, as of course you can see there, starting, and do spiral cracks all the way around. Doesn't really matter about the paintwork, of course, because we're going to be doing little bits with that first from other places. So you want to sort of mimic a cracked windscreen by making loads of sort of straight and jagged lines darting off everywhere. And of course you can only do this once, so you've got to be sure you want to do it, because there is no coming back if you don't like it. There you go, quite a nice start. I'm going to do more in the corner, just like that, and connect them all as if it had just been scratched. But of course you can see there is one main point right in the middle where it has been gouged by something hitting it. You can't get it directly perfect with this method, but you can get it damn right as close as you possibly can. That doesn't look too bad for a start. Of course you can see it's already cracked at the side. I think that looks quite nice. I'll replicate it for the back window and I'll join you in a few minutes. So there we go as a starter. That is not too bad. And on the back, the same again. Looks like it's been impacted and sort of beaten up many times. Also take a mental note about where things are going to be when you sort of cut into this thing, if you are going to cut in, where you really want to do the damage to it, where you don't. For me personally, I think I'm going to take a wheel off, bend it up a bit, maybe do a few other bits like that and make it look like it's been crashed and dumped in this car park, which I'm going to do right now. But that, for a start, is not too bad. As you can see, as a reference point, I have my own Mini GT 1/64 scale sort of tarmac car park. Now this I'm going to use for reference or scale in terms of the actual parking itself. You can see I can draw on the from here onto here and paint on using the paints I have in this tin, and also some masking tape, and then dull it out and then dirt it out using some genuine dirt I might use, or maybe some fake stuff, I'm not sure yet. But sort of go at it, keep a note of what you want to do and use it. So you can see I've used some masking tape as I don't have the steadiest of hand, which I'm going to fill in white. That's the first line there, and then I'm going to reuse the same sheets over a car space and then replicate it there. I'm going to dull it out, sand it over a bit and make it look like it's been weathered, not just that it's there, because this thing's meant to be there for a long time, at least look like it has done. So we need to make the lines look like they aren't fresh, and at least get them on there right now before it gets too dark or too late to do anything like that. So make sure with the time managers as well, when you do customs, don't get yourself too carried away in them. make sure the most important thing is to enjoy it. Always remember you have a sort of cleanup area where you use up brushes, wipe them down so they don't get dry and unusable again. And also, if in case you have spillages on something like this which you care about, I do need to get a proper custom map, but this is just for the aesthetics right now. Always have something you can mop up with if the worst happens. That will do for now. I've deliberately left lines and marks on it as I use the end of the paintbrush and not the actual brush itself to give a little bit more of a rugged finish. You can see if I zoom in there. And I've also done it slanted as I think it'll take up a little bit more space and work better with this cast itself. So I'll move on to this thing now, the cast, while I wait for that to dry and then do the other side off camera. But the cast now. Now, a good way to visualise looking at the cast if you want to do a sort of abandoned or beaten up cast, at least in my experience of doing a few, would be to sort of start about where the wheel will flick up if you're doing one that will be moving or something that will be in use, so like a banger racer like my previous custom was. That way you'll be starting at the bottom here and then flicking up. Or if it had been sitting for a while, you work out where the dirt will be if it had been sitting or where it would be rusting, in which case, rust, where is the metal? It doesn't really matter for 1/64 scale, but it is a valid sort of thing. Where would an actual car rust? Now usually an actual car rusts from places that are exposed metal, such as most likely key holes that go first and leave sort of stains down the bottom, which is a bit hard to do in 1/64 scale, so I might leave it out for now. But mainly arches. Arches love to go on cars that have been sitting or older. So first thing to do is, where everything is sort of chipped off here, is a perfect place to fill in with brown or similar, and maybe on the top as well. Although I think this will be fiberglass, we're going to still do it, and of course the boot as well. Sort of make sure you don't overdo it, but also don't underdo it as well, as you want to sort of make it look abandoned and feel abandoned. Extra touches such as the wheel, of course this one is the one that will be going off, so I didn't really mind getting any white paint on it. The one at the top you can either bend, which I think I will anyway, or cut off and put on the side, which I think I will do, sort of like this. See on the thing, you have it, and the wheel will be cut off, bent up here, and some sort of foliage or something around it to make it stand out. And that is the parking space finished for now. Before we weather it more, that is exactly what I wanted. Something that has been weathered away, looks a bit bad but also quite good, and all in all something like that, which is exactly what I wanted. It looks slightly large, but with the car in, it is pretty much the perfect size, so that'll do. Now, if you're from the UK and you can't quite afford the proper Tamiya weather kits yet, I would suggest getting some Revell colour or aqua colour brown. You can see there's various amounts of them, and you go in stores. Hobbycraft is a main one, where you can either get Tamiya, which I find quite expensive for now, but I will be saving up to get that for future customs like this, or you can also get something like this. It works quite well. It's a matte finish. Make sure you get a matte, but you can also get other colours, and it dries in just over an hour. But I find if you're outside or in a well ventilated area, it'll take just over 10 minutes to allow you to work on. Like for instance, the car park is already dry right now. Also with these, when you're opening them, be careful, as you will need to cut the sides. But once open, they can be quite stiff, which means you can often cut them, or sorry, not cut them, you can often find yourself spilling. And of course you can see this one needs a huge mix up, so always make sure you're mixing up on your things. I'm also going to use the brush end again, which I'll wipe down to make sure there's no transfer, and then always make sure you're doing a mix up so you're getting the genuine correct colour. Now this colour isn't exactly right for rust, but it'll do, and of course because you're going to be applying it, make sure you take all the excess off so you have enough just to work with. And I'm using the end because I think it'll be slightly more controllable than bristles, and just sort of ease it on the edge there. I'm going to use that one last since I'm going to be cutting that bit off, but just sort of very lightly on the edge. Make sure you do a little bit, and make sure it looks jagged. It needs to look jagged like that, so that the thing's been rusting away for a while, and if it has been rust, it'll be usually a rust trail, but just sort of dabs in the area where you're doing it. It doesn't have to be perfect like that is, because this will sort of be a piece where it's going to be in the background. So just little dabs on the arches where the rust would be. Make sure they're jagged, interconnected sometimes, and then larger spots, especially down the bottom, and just have a go at it a while. If you don't like it, you can easily wipe it off, as you of course see there, and just give it a little go. Experiment. That's my main thing with customers, an experiment. It's what I've learned from great guys in the community such as Honest Diecast, Twice Diecast and the like. Just experiment. If you don't like where it's going, restart. It's easy enough. There will be parts of these that you don't particularly like on your first, or maybe even your most latest if you were extremely talented customizer, but just sort of give it a go. That's the main thing you can take from this, is just give it a go. Sorry, half this is off camera, but with customizing you really have to get your eye in and have a look and just see for yourself if you enjoy it or not. I find it quite peaceful when I actually can do one. The majority of the time you find it hard if you are of an age where you don't own your own drill. You'll find it hard to drill one open, and I'd say even if, just experiment. If you can't, that'll often range from doing something like this, which I'm doing deliberately, not drilling it, so you can have a representation of how you don't always have to drill to make something look half decent when customized. Now I'm not going too over with it, because I'm going to be doing the majority of it on the sort of layout itself I'm going to be making, but the drier this gets on the brush, the better the finish is going to be. It'd be nice if I get other colours or brown to get it in, but right now that is perfectly fine with me. Put it down to dry for a bit, and I'll join you in a few minutes. Now for the purpose of what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be using these smaller, sharper pliers, or wire cutters. They're also known as. These ones are wire cutters, I know that. And you're just going to sort of go for the axle, which is what I'm going to be doing, cutting it off. Applying a little bit of force, keep your hand away just in case something happens, and then just squeeze, and it should. So it did require some seeking out, as they literally exploded. Both sides went flying, but that's what happens. So that's it off. That's how it looked like. We're going to do a bit inside of there to do detail, and it's already rusty in there. I haven't touched that at all. But we'll do a bit of detailing, make it look a bit nicer. But of course the main thing with this, when you're involved in something like a diorama, is to make sure you know where everything's going to go. So if I move that out of the way, I've already detailed the spot where I know what the tyre is going to be, so that's why I've rusted that out. There, and something like, something like that. There. And then we'll have rust or something like that, or dirt somewhere around there, splodged all the way around, and it should look quite nice. By the end I'm either going to glue or blue tack it down, which will cement it. The wheel will definitely be glued, but the cast I might want to take off. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see what happens when we come to it. I also need to do something about the edges to make it look a lot nicer in terms of that. Cut up some sort of foliage that I hope will work. I've never actually experimented with this before, which I'm going to stick around the car to make it look like things have fallen off. Specifically this looks like it could be rust. I've torn it up so it's very small. I'm going to stick it around there after I glue the wheel down and work out where the car's going to be, but I'm very, very happy with how that looks so far. There is the wheel stuck onto the chassis, or at least the base of the custom, shall I say, and with some foliage around it to make it look like it's sort of blown up rubbish, and I really like the way it looks. I think it looks generally quite nice. I don't mind it. I think it looks exactly how I imagined. So we'll move on to putting the cast on right next to it and seeing really how it's going to turn out. Is to go back to the cast, which I've already secured the wheel with glue. I'm not too happy about the finish on that one, but you won't really see it at all from there. Is to sort of use more of this foliage I've used, which is from a leaf, a dead one of that, so it shouldn't deteriorate any more than that, and put some on the cast. Now I'm thinking to put some into the where the wipers would go, which is sort of a cavity, some maybe on the bonnet, around the headlights, that sort of area, and in the grille, to sort of give it a bit more of a good effect. I'm going to use some brown paint behind it, just a tiny little dab, to sort of make it slightly look like it's corroded on the body. We'll hope, fingers crossed, it will look good. Finished for now, and I really like the way this thing is looking. I'm about to secure it onto the base, so I think I'm going to use some poly cement, which is basically just glue, but it should harden. and I really like the way that is posed right now. That's probably going to be how it goes on. I'm going to add a few more of these little leaf bits around the place, dotted about, and that should be it done. I really like the way this thing looks. I think it's really starting to turn out exactly how I imagined, if not even better. I hope you guys are also liking it as well. Maybe I should do some more of these. Comment down below if I should do some more customs, because I'm not entirely sure. I know Eddie G, you might like this one, and a few other JDM fans. I hope you all like it. Twice Diecast as well, huge shout out to you. You are sort of inspiration for that Citronami you did recently. I'll hopefully put some screenshots on now. But oh man, this thing's turning out really good. There it is, fully finished. I hope you all like it. I'm absolutely just over the moon with how it looks. I love the finishing touches with the flakes. I think that looks fantastic. I like the overhang. I think that looks great. I love the fact it's parked in the bay like that. I hope you all like it. That is it finished. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope it inspired a few of you to jump into customs, because honestly I'd say challenge yourself. Something like this, it ain't easy, trust me. And I spent a few hours on this thing, and I know there's many things I could improve on, and many things you guys could tell me what to do, especially Fine Valiant aka Diecast Breakdown crew. You guys could tell me a lot about how to improve, but I hope this is sort of decent for one of my first customs, and I hope you all enjoyed. So without further ado, I'll take a few photos, but first, stay safe everyone, and of course, stay juke'ing.